Hello there. Hello, beautiful mummies to be, and some of you may have had your babies already. I know a couple of friends that have already had their babies as we've been sort of going through this journey together. So, congratulations to you if that's the case, and I hope you're enjoying your little bundle. I had originally planned to be doing weekly videos throughout this pregnancy so that we could share this experience together, and any kind of tips and tricks along the way that I learned, or any bits of information that might have helped other people, that I'd be able to share with you, and also like the emotional, spiritual support along the way, and any kind of downloads through my own experiences for me to share as well. So I managed a few weeks, but I have been very lucky to have had a very healthy, good pregnancy, and I have my previous pregnancy, I suppose, 14 years ago to compare that to. It has been a very different pregnancy this time around, and thankfully I've really been able to embrace and enjoy this pregnancy much of the time. It's not been a perfect pain-free sailing ride. But then, pregnancy, there is an element to what we are taking on for our babies, and that unconditional love, and just kind of embracing every part of it, even if we're in pain or if we're going through sickness, whatever it is. We're doing this as a way of bringing in our beautiful new souls and babies to this planet, to this earth. There is an element as well as to what I've learned, not just with this pregnancy, but going through pregnancy with friends in the past, and having like particular downloads, and from a higher space there, sharing and helping me to understand, is that in some cases, some old souls that are returning to this planet may have developed some karmic things along the way, through different lifetimes. Now, people view karma as, oh, you do bad, you get bad. It's not just about that. It's the energies that are created along the way. Sometimes trauma, which is instilled as like a programming into the soul energy. So trauma that we may have suffered in past lifetimes, can be programmed into our soul energy, so that it's programmed to replay at some point in order to assist its release and its neutralization. So through pregnancy, as mothers with unconditional love for our babies, on a soul level, we take on some of this karma for our babies to help to neutralize it before they're actually born into this lifetime. So sometimes it's hard to justify if you're having a really difficult pregnancy, if you're having to lay up a lot, if you're being restricted in many ways, and be compassionate and loving towards yourself, but also, be aware that you're helping your baby massively at this time. So if you are going through a bit of a difficult pregnancy, try and keep that in mind, that in some way this is playing out and you are really assisting on a soul level your baby, to help them to have a better, happier, healthier life this time round. And we might not be aware or know of what trauma is being released, or what karma is being neutralized for this child before it comes into the world. You don't need to know that necessarily, but just keep that in your awareness, that you are massively helping your baby as you go through certain things. So as I said, with this pregnancy, from the beginning, I was just totally amazed how well I was experiencing this pregnancy, as I didn't have such a great experience the first time around. Though I was very lucky, everything was very healthy, baby was born beautiful, magnificent, gorgeous girl. You know, the pregnancy side of it, I didn't actually associate to my daughter whatsoever. It's almost like in my head, I'd disconnected the two of the pregnancy and her being born, or the birth as well, and her being born. It's like I just separated it all. So there wasn't that divine connection of the journey, because I just found it all so traumatic. This time round, you know, midwives have been so much more supportive. People seem so much more educated on the importance of the emotional welfare as well of mums to be, which is fantastic. So we're feeling more supported, more understood. So that's really great. However, from pretty much the beginning of the pregnancy, I have had sickness, which unfortunately did not stop at 3 or 4 months or 5 months or 6 months. It's literally, I would say, the last 2 weeks I've been fortunate enough to not be sick. And some days I could have been sick like 3, 4, 5 times a day. Other days it might just be once or twice. But most of my days were going through this feeling sick. If I wasn't being sick, I was feeling sick. No matter what I ate, some things had a worse consequence than others. No matter what I ate, I had acid indigestion. I was feeling sick. So yeah, that, but the thing is, what's really interesting is it didn't really get me down. I just knew that after eating meals, I needed to just sit for a while, sometimes up to like half an hour, and just not move after eating, just to give my food time to go down, to settle, to digest a little bit. Because if I started moving too quickly after a meal, I would pretty much just bring it up straight away. There was times like my daughter would laugh at me, because there was times that I'd be in the middle of eating a meal and it was just getting stuck in my chest, no matter how careful I tried to eat it, and it would just make me gag, and I'd end up rushing to the toilet being sick. But then I'd feel fine. As soon as I was sick, I'd feel fine, and I'd just come back and start eating my food again. So yeah, there was the odd occasion that I might have been really quite violently sick, and literally maybe all of 3 or 4 times throughout the whole pregnancy, where I was so violently sick that it kind of knocked me out and made me feel rough, and I had to go and lay down for a couple of hours, or it sort of knocked me out of sorts for the rest of the day. But mostly I'd be sick and then I'd be fine again. So even though I've had the sickness throughout the pregnancy, it hasn't got me down, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the pregnancy overall. I've enjoyed feeling this little one rolling around doing somersaults inside me, and you know, now I'm 37 weeks now. So this baby is coming literally at any time. My daughter was born at 37 weeks. So like I said, I'm really glad that I've managed to fit in this last video before giving birth. Yeah, she was born at 37 weeks, and I am feeling this one is coming any time now. My belly has dropped big time. So her movements, or his movements, are very, well, obviously they're quite restricted in there now, so the movements are quite big and can be painful sometimes when you've got a sharp little elbow scraping through your insides. But again, it's beautiful to feel them, to know that they're safe, they're healthy, they're moving. And it's at that time now where it's exciting, because literally any day I get to meet them. So yeah, it's exciting times. Also through this pregnancy, I would say from about 6 months pregnant is when my sleep started getting really, really bad. So I'd come to bed at night, and sometimes, I mean, I was lucky to get to get like 2 or 3 hours sleep through the whole night. Not just with waking up to go to the toilet, but I had this like crazy energy build up in my lower spine, in my back. And like the only way I could disperse it was to do some exercise, like 10 sit, do some yoga, do some gentle aerobics. And I was doing this at like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 2 or 3 times during the night, just to relieve this tension. I started using different oils to try and help it, a magnesium oil, lavender oil, just to try and help it. And sometimes it helped and it worked a little bit. Sometimes I just had to exercise it out. So yeah, when I've tried researching what this could have been, there is nothing that I found where this energy collects in your lower back, but there is like an irritable leg syndrome, which sounds similar, but I've been getting it in my lower back. Now, I know the frequency of this child that I've been channeling and assisting the soul to anchor in is a very high frequency, and through meditations I've been guided and you know, in different ways to help me to cope with that and to meditate and to help my own frequency affiliate with this frequency, because that's what's happening. It's like such a high frequency energy that's coming in that my physical body has at times struggled to cope with that. So especially when I'm trying to relax, my physical body has struggled to cope with the frequency, the energy of this baby that I'm carrying. So I've had to do like meditations and things just to help to elevate my own frequency, to either match hers or just be close enough to be able to tolerate what it is that I've been embodying the last few months. Luckily, the last couple of weeks, I'd say the last 2 weeks, I've been getting a bit more sleep, which I'm really grateful for. But I've been laughing throughout the pregnancy because I think with a lot of mums to be, it's almost like on an evolutionary level, we're being prepared to become a mum. We're being prepared for the sleepless nights that are to come. And, you know, the sleepless nights don't have to be horrendous. It could just be the child waking up a couple of times in the night for a feed. But still, for those who are really used to their sleep and having a good night's sleep and needing so many hours a night to survive, to cope, that can be a big shift. That can be a big change for people to adapt to and to cope with that. So it's like we're being prepared, you know, with having to get up to go to the toilet so many times in the night, with having to, you know, just becoming restless and uncomfortable with the extra weight that we're carrying, all those things. It's like we're being prepared for what's to come. And I've kind of been laughing with a few mums to be, saying, you know, honestly, I just know that once the babies are born, we'll be getting so much more sleep, which is ironic, really, because you would think, oh, you're preparing to not have as much sleep. But for sure, I remember when my daughter was born, I went through a similar thing, but it was more, it was more of a feel like, I think I had so much extra weight with my first pregnancy that, especially in the last couple of months, I was barely sleeping because my sides would hurt so much so I was constantly flipping over from one side to the other, trying to get comfortable, but the weight would literally make my sides feel bruised, you know, like my side of my thighs, my hips, I'd just feel bruised, so it hurt to even put pressure on them to lay down. So I wasn't sleeping too well in the first pregnancy either, and yeah, when she was born, I just remember the first night of her being born, even though she woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning for a feed, and then she just stayed wide awake for the longest time, and it was the most beautiful moment that I'll always remember, because it was like from from when she was born, it was the most awake and alert that she'd been. She'd been born 4 o'clock, like around 4 o'clock the morning before. So now, you know, like 24 hours later, she's been born, and it's now 3 o'clock in the morning. Me and my husband were at home. She woke up for a feed, and obviously, you know, we're totally fascinated by her, and she was just so awake and alert, and that was the first time, and we were just watching her and just soaking her in and just so happy. So, you know, it wasn't a bad thing, but, you know, once she'd finally gone back to sleep, then I was able to just go straight back to sleep. And then she woke up again, maybe about, not till about 8-9 o'clock in the morning for her next feed. She was a brilliant baby. She really was. But yeah, so, you know, I just remember actually being able to lay there and feel comfortable again. just to lay down and to feel comfortable without this extra wedge, this extra weight. So yeah, trust me, if you're not sleeping too well, don't let it stress you out of like, oh no, and what's to come when the baby's born and I'm not going to sleep again and da 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 da. Like, don't worry. Honestly, most of you, I feel you'll be fine. Once the baby's here, you'll be able to sleep comfortable again. You'll soon adapt to the new routines, and the routines don't stay the same for long. You know, from when the baby's born, maybe every 2 or 3 weeks, your routines are going to slightly change because the baby's growing and changing as well. So you'll just sort of start to be getting settled to a particular routine, and then you're basically working around the baby constantly. So your routine will fit in with the baby. Obviously, if you have older children, it's not always going to be as adaptable, but you'll find your ways around it. So, yeah, this is my second baby about to be born, and I wanted to just mention about that because I always remember when my daughter was born, I would be sat in the middle of town, you know, feeding her a bottle maybe, and just like totally absorbed in her, and talking away to her, and people would come up and make comments. Oh, she's beautiful. She's your first, obviously. And I'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, yeah, it's not like that with your second, you know, once you have your second, like the novelty wears off. It's never the same like it is with your first. And I used to think, wow, that's a really sad thing to say, you know, like, okay. I mean, I just nodded and smiled at the time, but yeah, I did used to think, you know, all your babies, they're going to be precious to you in their own way. And I'm not saying that people who were saying that don't feel that for their second, third, fourth child. It's just, I just felt it was a bit of a sad thing to say, like, oh, you know, the novelty's weared off, you just get on with it now, you know what's to come. But what I found with my second pregnancy, and I mentioned this to a good friend recently who's also thinking of having her second soon, and I have actually, I think, enjoyed and embraced the experience of pregnancy so much more. And obviously, like I said, that's more so most likely because of the mindset that I'm in now to what I was 14 years ago. I was a lot more immature. I have a lot more of a spiritual, philosophical outlook in life now. So I'm a very different person to what I was 14 years ago. But also, as I mentioned in previous videos, I feel strongly being vegan has massively had an influence, a positive influence on how I have carried this baby and how I have experienced the pregnancy. I haven't had as much pain. I haven't had like all the negative side effects that I experienced in my first pregnancy. I haven't had at all. you know, severe bloating, sometimes cramping in my joints, in my hands. Sometimes I'd wake up in the morning, I wouldn't even be able to open my hands up straight away. I'd have to like just wait a while and slowly open them, because they'd just be locked stiff where there was so much water retention. And I just, yeah, so lots of differences with this pregnancy to the last one. But what's been really beautiful with this one, I found, is that with my first pregnancy, obviously you have an idea, you're excited, you can daydream what it's going to be like when the baby's here, how you're going to feel, what kind of things you're going to do with a baby. You can have those daydreams, but it is almost like a little bit of it's a bit of a pipe dream until it happens, until the baby's born. You never really know how it's going to be. You know, you honestly, you think you're prepared for the feelings you're going to have, for the love you're going to have for this child. You are not. No matter how much, as a first-time parent, you think you have an idea how much you're going to love this child. You don't, until that child is born, and it just blows you off your feet. It's like a love you have never known before. But this is a love that you can only imagine the first time round. You haven't felt that yet, so you can only imagine it. And we might have some past life memories playing out that help us to associate, to have an idea what's to come. But in this lifetime, the conscious memories aren't fully there yet. So it's not until the baby's born that it's like, this is a whole new experiment of life playing out, the research being gathered for you to really embrace and to know what certain things feel like as you experience them. Second time round, it's almost like I know what's to come, in a sense. So it's like it's made me so much more excited. You know, I just know that this baby is just going to fit in with life so easy. I know that I know the love I have for this baby now, so much love, the feeling of protection. But I also know, I remember clearly those feelings when my daughter was first born. I remember just not being able to take my eyes off her even when she was sleeping, not wanting to be away from her for a second, and just so much love. Like, I would message my friend, and you know, now she'll understand it because she's got a couple of kids of her own, but back then she didn't. So I must have done her head in sometimes, because I was constantly messaging like, oh my god, this is just so amazing, I never knew this kind of love existed, I just can't take my eyes off her. And you know, just constantly messaging her, because I didn't, it just to kind of help me to process these feelings that I was having, because it was something like I'd never experienced before. So you think you know what's to come, but you don't until that time comes. And it is just a love that you could never imagine, as much as you try to. You know, I think we get carried away with what we think we should be feeling, saying and doing whilst we're pregnant sometimes. You know, obviously making out we're so excited with everybody and what's to come, and we are excited, but some of it is like is from, really, it's from your imagination, because you've got nothing else to compare it to. This time I know what's to come. I know that love. So I'm excited. Like, I know that this baby is going to bless all of our lives. It's going to change so many people's lives. Babies do that within the family. They change everybody a little bit. Their energies are just, you know, these new souls coming to the earth, whether they're ancient souls, whether they're star souls, whether they're, you know, whatever their purpose is. Every baby will change everybody around it in some way. These precious, innocent little souls that come to us. And what's been so beautiful as well with this pregnancy is that I've been able to share it completely with my first baby. And honestly, that has made the whole experience so much more special. Now, I know my daughter's 14 years old now. If anything, she'll probably be more like a second mum to this child than a big sister. But she's so excited to meet her little brother or sister. And she is, she's been fascinated going through the journey with me. She's been so helpful. She's really helped me out. She's been considerate and kind and supportive. And yeah, she loves, sometimes she will play music to the baby. She'll talk to the baby. She'll just rest her head and, loves getting kicked in the face by the baby. Like resting her head on my stomach, feeling the baby move around, watching my belly do all kinds of distortions as little one moves around in there. So it's been fascinating for her, but it's been beautiful for me to watch her going through this experience of her little brother or sister about to be born, and seeing the excitement building up in her as it's getting closer to the time that she's going to get to meet her little brother or sister. But it's not just her age. Any child, I feel that, if you have a 2, 3, 4-year-old child, if they're in a space of being able to understand that there is a baby in mummy's tummy and that this is going to be their little brother or sister, then, it's just so beautiful to go through that experience with your already here children. So, yeah, you might hear comments like, the novelty wears off when it gets to your second or third child, fourth child. I honestly don't feel that, and I'm sure for most of you that will never be the case either. Every child coming to the planet is precious. Every pregnancy has its own story to tell. Every birth, every child has its own history. And I know another lady that's just given birth to her 4th child, and she's just, she's such a beautiful mum, and she every child is such a blessing to her. She loves all of her babies throughout this pregnancy as well. She's been sharing a lot, her story on Facebook and things, just how she's feeling, what she's doing, what she's eating, different things like that. And it's like that doesn't have to be the case. It's not that, you've been there before, you know what to expect. It's a precious experience no matter how many times that you're going through it. 2, 3, 4, 5 times, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I've also been very lucky through this pregnancy that I have been so supported in different ways by different people. So I don't have a lot of money for myself. I don't work. I do work in a sense. Like I give my love and my supportive. I'm in service. I'm a lady in service of God. So I support people in different ways, emotionally, spiritually, helping the soul evolution of the planet and people, animals, whatever it is I do. But there is no job description or ultimate title, so to speak. It's just who I am. So I don't actually go out and earn a living in that particular sense. Some people are very generous and might give donations, which are always really appreciated, but that's not what or why I do what I do. So the money that I do get to support me is pretty much living on a bit of a knife's edge, but For me, I mean, I'm so blessed to have my beautiful home now, which wasn't the story last year, but I have a beautiful home now, beautiful garden space. I'm surrounded by countryside. I've been supported to have a car that gets me around when I need to get to town and back, and do my shopping. Take my daughter to school, which obviously during lockdown hasn't been necessary, but yeah, so I'm supported in lots of different ways. And I always just feel, as long as me and my family, the animals, we have food in our mouth, we've got a roof over our head, and I'm just so blessed for where I'm situated as well. There's so many beautiful little walks to take the dogs on, space for the cats to roam around, and for me, my daughter, like, we have everything we need. I don't need lots of things, but this home that I moved into in January, which was a blessing, but it needed a lot of work doing to it. Even though it's rented, the landlord isn't necessarily someone who, and the estate agents as well, who were quick to get certain things done, even things that were quite dangerous really, that needed doing quite promptly, still haven't been done to this day. But it started out, my family were super supportive in just really helping me, because I was already a few months pregnant when I got this place, so they really helped me in doing some really hard grafting work to decorate it, have new carpets and do bits to it so that it can be more clean and comfortable and homely for me and my daughter and this new little one on the way. But there were still lots of jobs that needed finishing off, like bits of painting and just a few bits here and there that needed finishing off, and it's still not completely done. However, like of more recent, the last couple of months, my ex especially has really kind of stepped in, and really we've become really close friends again, which I'm so fortunate and so happy about, because obviously when you go through a breakup, certain things happen, and there can be a lot of heartache, and it can take time to release and to get back on a path where you can feel comfortable in each other's energy again. But I think one of the hardest things that we found throughout the breakup is the times that we went a long period of time with no communication, no like nothing between us. That was actually difficult. That was the worst part of the grieving process of the relationship breakup, because for 20 years of being in each other's pockets pretty much, it was like losing your best friend. It was really difficult, and I was working on a lot of releasing, cutting cords, and doing everything in my meditations, in my healing journey. And Lord Ganesh would keep coming to me. Lord Ganesh has been a very powerful guide, supportive, protector. He's been a very powerful energy that's been really supporting the energy of this soul for this baby that I'm carrying to come in as well. But yeah, Lord Ganesh kept coming to my meditations and laughing at me as I'm trying to cut certain cords with my partner and my ex-partner, and he would just laugh at me, and he's like basically telling me there was something on a soul level that keeps us so connected, and that will never go, and no matter what I do in my heart, there will always be something there for him. And he would just laugh at me and say, but he's family. And it got me to realise that, yeah, he wasn't just a friend. He wasn't just a husband or a lover. That he was, there was something else to this energy that bound our souls. And it was, it's like soul family. So no matter what we'd been through together over the past, it's been a roller coaster of a relationship, very passionate relationship, whether that be passionately good, passionately bad. But we've assisted each other in such magnificent ways on a soul growth level that, of course, we were soulmates. And twin flames, absolutely. From the way that things have been given to me in meditations, I trust and believe that completely. So it's just this, something started to heal between us, which has been beautiful. So it's like a whole new dynamics of the relationship. And I don't mean the relationship as in getting back together romantically. I mean, it's like a whole new foundation of friendship, relationship, rebuilding. And we're kind of exploring that without attachment in a way, which has been really nice. So it's like, in a way, you know, over this last few months, I've had my best friend back, and that's been great. But part of that has been difficult because you know, he's a very caring natured soul, and sometimes he can go a little bit too much out there for other people. There still needs to be a bit of balance there for him, I think. But it's just, he has a good heart, and he has really stepped in and done so much, helped me so much just with general everyday stuff, gardening, because I have quite a big garden at the back and the front. So sometimes, you know, with gardening, jobs that have needed doing in the house for so long that suddenly are really starting to get done. You know, he's a great masculine manifester energy, so he's great at manifesting and just getting things done when he puts his mind to it, and he can get things done really fast, and they'll be done really, you know, really well. So, you know, there's some things that I could have done myself, but would have been hard. You know, the crouching down, painting skirting boards, and where it was making me feel sick to bend over. Doing the gardening, I love gardening, but again, sometimes with the extra weight and things that were just a little bit more, probably took a bit more effort for me being pregnant than they would for him. So that's been great. But what's really taught me, and there's been other friends as well that have just been so beautiful and supportive. With the lockdown and everything in place, you know, and not being able to see people. I never really wanted a baby shower anyway, but not being able to see people, I've just been blown away by the love and the generosity and the thoughts of friends as well, you know, checking in on me. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How's baby? Gifts being sent through the post, you know, which have helped me massively. Like I said, I don't have a lot of money, so it's been difficult sometimes. Sometimes I've just had to totally surrender and be like, okay, I know I need this, I need to get that for the baby. Right now I can't do anything about it, just surrender it. And it would be that no matter what it was, in some way, the minute I just surrendered it and said, look, somehow, I don't know how yet, it's going to come. This baby's going to have everything it needs. And long and behold, it would, you know. One of the things more recently, I'd managed to just about get everything, but there was one thing that I was thinking, and I was umming and ahhing about getting a breast pump. So I've been looking into it, and I was thinking, I don't want to necessarily buy an expensive one straight away, because I don't know how often I'll be expressing with a pump. I don't know if the baby's going to be more latched onto the boob, or if I'm going to be bottle feeding half and half, or so I was sort of thinking, well, if I'm only expressing a little bit now and then, I don't need to fork out for an expensive electric pump. Maybe I just need something a bit cheaper. So I was kind of a bit in two minds. I was doing a bit of exploring what kind of pumps were out there, and trying to do a bit of research, and thinking whether or not should I get one. Then thinking, well, I haven't even got any money to buy one at the moment. Time's getting closer. It's running out. And then again, without me saying anything to anybody about this, two of my friends put together, bless their hearts, and this little package came in the post with a dummy and a bottle, some storage bags for when you collect the breast milk so you can put them in the freezer, and a breast pump. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like, honestly, you just couldn't make this up. In every way, the universe, the angels of the cosmic realms and the earth have just come forward and supported everything through this pregnancy. And honestly, I've felt so much love and gratitude throughout this whole experience, whether it be my father, who has like been cooking for me and, you know, going out of his way at times to bring me food during the lockdown, and in different ways, Christian, who has stepped in and we've kind of reconnected again, this new dynamics, this friendship, this and such a love there between us, which is beautiful. And being supported in all the ways to have that masculine energy around to just support certain things along the way as well. And my friends, you know, buying clothes and bits and bobs for the baby, these little parcels that come through as little surprises sometimes, and it's, yeah, so thank you to everybody who has really supported. Like, it's been so appreciated, it really has, and so with the breastfeeding, so I mentioned, you know, getting the breast pump and everything. So this time round, it's felt really important to me to be able to breastfeed. Largely, this is to do with my new state of awareness over the last few years with the different products that are available on the market, to give our babies, to give ourselves, but also the research surrounding breastfeeding. And, you know, it's not for everybody, and for different reasons, people may choose or not be able to breastfeed. And you must not feel bad or guilty for that in any way if that is the case. I think for me, being vegan, I have looked into different formula milks, just in case if I wasn't successful or if I did need to somehow part breastfeed, part formula. I wanted to research what was available for to give your baby if you're vegan, and I haven't found anything. It's like even the soy products, which I'm not necessarily overly keen on giving soy products either to the baby, but even the soy products still have some content of animal product. Just because it's not cow's milk, there is something else in there. So that is related to animals. And so for me, it has been really important that I want to exclusively breastfeed, and whether that's on the boob or having to extract and feed the baby through a bottle in whatever way. So I got quite excited when a few weeks ago I did start noticing a little bit of colostrum from my boobs, because I was like, this is a good sign. This is that I'm going to be all right breastfeeding, because I have had breast surgery in the past, so I was a little bit concerned. Am I going to be all right? Am I going to be able to produce and to be able to feed the baby? But that was a good sign. And then I got also told about maybe harvesting the milk. So this is where you start expressing 2 or 3 weeks before baby's due, and storing it in bags, and putting it in the freezer so that you have a little bit of a backup supply just in case things are a bit slow going in the beginning, or, you know, anything like that. And I was getting a little bit, but nothing's coming out. I started at 36 weeks to try and express a little bit. Nothing's coming out. It's only last night that I was kind of having a bit of a meditation with the essential oils as well, and I think it just helped put me in such a relaxed state. And I suddenly felt my nipples a little bit like tingling, but as if there was something coming out of them, and I thought, oh, this might be a good time to try again. Now, not enough came out for me to be able to express anything, like to put it into a bag, but they were juicing a little bit. so I got really excited about that. And I just thought, you know what, even if I don't manage to harvest any, to extract any before the baby's born, just trying a little bit every day, even just to stimulate the boobs, the nipples, to get the milk kind of, you know, a little bit, juicing a little bit more, whatever it is. I just kind of thought will maybe help the baby when the baby's born, so that when they're suckling, it might be a bit easier for the milk to come out. It was just an idea I had, so I just thought, well, and it's also getting my nipples a bit more used to, you know, that, because when even using the breast pump for the first time was a little bit uncomfortable, you know, the way it's pulling on your nipples and they're a bit sensitive. So, but what I found is after a few days of using it, and I would only use it, like try a little bit for a couple of minutes a day, that was it. But just over a few days, that became less sensitive and less painful. So I kind of felt like, well, this is good because I'm preparing my nipples, I'm preparing this space to feed my baby, so hopefully when the baby's born that it shouldn't be as uncomfortable. That's my theory. So I've been continuing that, and what I found also is the more I started to research for tips and things with breastfeeding, because obviously again with this COVID-19 lockdown situation, couldn't go to antenatal clinics, couldn't go to breastfeeding support places. So yeah, I found, so it was a more case of doing a lot of research online myself, and I didn't realise how complex the thing it was. You know, you just have this idea, well, you just put the baby on the boob and it, you know, nature does its thing. But there is actually quite a few things we have to take on board when it comes to breastfeeding, which overwhelmed me a little bit at first. Like, oh gosh, there's all these things I had no idea about. And it made me have such a deeper appreciation and love for a particular friend, a really close friend. And a couple of years ago when she gave birth to her little one and she was breastfeeding, because I hadn't breastfed my first time round, you know, it was just one of those things. I mean, I supported her in the sense that when we were out together, you know, she needed to breastfeed, and but I never really questioned her or talked to her about it. I never thought to. I was just so naive to the whole process of it. I just never even thought to ask her questions. And so actually it made me feel like, oh my gosh, I was such a crap friend back then, you know. This is such a big thing, the whole breastfeeding thing. There's so much entailed to it. And even in like how we look after ourselves as a mother, what we're eating, what we're doing, in order to facilitate and assist a healthy milk flow for our babies. All these things to take into consideration. So I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm so sorry. I feel like I was just such a crap friend. I was so inconsiderate. She was just like, oh, you know, she didn't feel that, and everything. But still, it made me realise there is a lot more to this. And from my research as well, what I've also found is that this country, the UK, we have the worst rates for successful breastfeeding and for healthy non-painful, good breastfeeding techniques. So to the point where a lot of mums, due to infections, cracked nipples, it just being too painful, the baby not latching on properly, kind of give up quite quickly with the breastfeeding. So it's been interesting to explore different reasons why that is in this country. And it tends to be a lot of the third world countries that kind of stick to very ancient techniques that are just passed on down the line, and they're the most successful. And I came across, the same day that I came across online, this lady called Dr. Robin Thompson, and it's called the Thompson Method, and you can get her page on Facebook. You can watch her videos on YouTube, the Thompson Method for breastfeeding, and there are so many videos to watch, really supportive, really fantastic, to help you with that. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. But what happened is, the same day, the same morning that I just happened to stumble across this lady online and her videos, later on that day, my friend who I just mentioned before said to me, if you want any help with your breastfeeding, if you want any tips, obviously I'm happy to help you. She shared a few things with me, and then she said to me, and there's also this lady that really helped me through my journey of breastfeeding, and that is, there's this page called the Thompson Method, and she just sort of quickly told me a bit about it, and I thought, that's the same lady that I've just stumbled on this morning. So it was extra confirmation. Listen to this lady. She really knows what she's talking about. She's helped so many people on the Facebook page. There's like thousands of women that are constantly posting that are saying thank you so much for all these techniques and these ways that you've taught us, and how even mothers of 2 or 3, 4 children have only stumbled across the Thompson Method recently and have had such a different and more positive experience with the breastfeeding than they did with the previous babies, because they weren't aware of this. And it's basically because of the system in place. It's almost like a factory line of the system in place to get you in, have your baby. They want to make sure you're feeding all right before they can send you home, so they can use quite forceful tactics to try to encourage the breastfeeding, which can cause trauma from the very beginning for both the mother and baby, which then sets a pattern which can often result in not very successful breastfeeding. So so this lady, she has some fantastic videos, and it's really helped me. So we'll see how all that goes when this little one's born. But I feel okay with it. I feel quite at ease and ready now. So yeah, the Thompson Method. If you're really wanting to support healthy breastfeeding throughout the first days or months, year or 2 of your baby being born, I highly recommend the Thompson Method. Some great videos online on YouTube. There's a Facebook page. There's lots of information there. But as I was saying before as well, so much support, and I'm a little bit scattered. It's because this is my final video, basically. There was so much more I wanted to share with you. And maybe when the baby's born, I might still share a few different videos of some really beautiful topics that I did want to share before, but never got round to, because whether it was sleepless nights, feeling sick, just taking the day as it comes, things didn't go totally to plan in that sense. So like I said, I'm so glad that I'm getting to share this final video whilst I'm pregnant still. But obviously from today onwards, it is just a case that any time this baby could arrive. So I just want to focus completely on these final days and welcoming this precious new soul into the world. But maybe once the baby's born, after a few weeks, I might do a couple of more videos just to involve some of the topics that I didn't get to talk about. So really, this is just some final things that I'm sharing with you of an overall experience of the pregnancy and little tips and things just to share with you, but also the importance, you know, like I said, of it's been beautiful that I've had so much support etherically and physically, the cosmic angels and the earth angels all together just really helping me through this whole process. And you know what? Yeah, I probably could have done all of it myself and still been fine. But it's made it so much more of a precious, beautiful experience to have that support and to feel that support cosmically and on an earth level. It's made the whole experience so much more profound and beautiful. And one of the things that I wanted to say about that is the importance of, the importance of accepting that help. When people want to reach out, when people want to surround you with love, when people want to help you, accept it with open arms. And one of the things that I've had to work with over the last couple of months on occasions is where I've felt myself feeling guilty for the extra support that has been given to me. And actually, I shouldn't feel guilty. I mean, this is wonderful that others have been given an opportunity to be able to reach out and help somebody that they love and care about. And I should feel totally grateful and in a space of such support and love for receiving that. But what I found at times is that sometimes I would actually have these feelings of guilt just come over me. And especially, I suppose, with Christian, the more that he was helping me, these feelings of guilt, like it. But actually, and when I address that, it's coming from a space of self-worth. It's actually reflecting our own self-worth. So again, there was elements that was being shown to me for deeper healing and acceptance. Accept love, accept the extra support and the help, accept that these things don't make you weak. If you're accepting the extra support and help, it's not because you're weak, it's because you're in a very abundant state of receiving, and that is a wonderful thing that you are being so supported, and just to have full gratitude for that. And the more I started to feel such gratitude and work with that energy and release any feelings of guilt, it's like the more started to come and to happen as well. So, you know, the greatest energy to attract abundance is gratitude. So if we're going to fight the abundance that we do get with feelings of guilt, then we're starting to put blocks on any more abundance to come through. So the more that I worked with that, the more just started happening. And yeah, so I do feel that's had a major effect on the abundance that has been coming through, but also it's helped to highlight aspects of myself that still required some further deeper healing for my own self-worth as well. So just really take that on board. Recognize, are you being really open to others wanting to support you, to love you, to help you in different ways? Whether that's to cook for you, clean for you, just to be there to spend time with you, to help you out with little jobs, to buy you things, whatever it is, you know, just address with yourself how that's making you feel. And if there is any negative, like reactions coming from within to any of that, address it within yourself and take the time to meditate, to invite in the angels, the cosmic beings, for neutralization. Just fill the cells with some neutralizing energy to help disperse of that guilt, and release whatever is trying to come through there, because we only have these feelings as a guide to allow us to navigate what it is we need to become a fuller, better, healthier person in mind, body and soul. So, you know, the ego can get carried away, but ultimately it's there to guide us as to where we still need to grow, where we still need to heal. So, you know, just be aware of self. So you've probably heard me throughout the video refer to the baby, sometimes as her, sometimes as him. Now, this has been another quite interesting, I know this video is getting quite long now, so I'll be finishing off very soon, but just a final story on the gender of this child. So basically, from the beginning and from, you know, over the last few years, being told that I was going to have another baby, that it was going to be a boy, from the minute I fell pregnant, I felt no doubt in my mind that it was going to be a boy. In my heart, I was communicating with the soul of this little boy, like constantly. He was talking me through different things, telling me about his energy, about what his personality would be like, different ways that I can support him when he's born and throughout his life. You know, just so much deep connection and communication with the soul of this child. And everybody around me felt boy as well. I think there was like one or two people that was like, oh, I think girl, but most people felt boy. Different psychics over the years and, you know, mediums. Not that I go seeking them, but because of what I do, I mix with a lot of different mediums and psychics and people who are very intuitive. And over the years, I've always said, you're going to have a boy. You're going to have a boy next. Now, I know that I'm going to be having a boy and a girl at some point, but I always felt it was going to be the boy that came first, after my daughter Anisha, obviously. And yeah, so anyway, when I went for my 20-week scan, we got told girl. So that like completely threw us. And it's not that I wasn't happy. I mean, I'm happy with, as long as this child is healthy and everything. But it was just this feeling, and so I did a whole video on that previously about the gender reveal and about these hybrid children coming in. And actually, it's so hard because they're so balanced in their masculine and feminine energies. It's so hard to really decipher male or female unless you're told biologically and you can really trust the information you've been given by the nurses in your scan. Now, in my scan, because my daughter wanted to do a gender reveal, so they were writing it down in an envelope so that we could take that home. So we weren't told in the room. But when the lady turned the screen, she said there was another lady sat across the room who was a trainee nurse taking notes. And she just went, have you got that? And the lady literally looked up for a second from the desk and went, yep, and then wrote it down. Me and my daughter looked at each other in the room and was like, did she get that? Like, really? That was so quick. She just glanced. And yeah, so she wrote female. But anyway, I still found it strange that for a good sort of 5 or 6 weeks after finding out the gender, that I still wasn't connecting to the female soul that's meant to have been embodying within me. I just thought, it's okay, you know, maybe her soul's not quite settled in yet, maybe there's only aspects coming in, but it was still very much the boy's soul communicating with me. And eventually, after about 5 or 6 weeks, the girl's soul started to communicate once again, because going back a couple of years ago, she was very much in communications with me, talking to me, telling me things about herself, showing me aspects of herself, again, ways that she's going to want supporting when her time comes for the earth, and all these different things about herself. And so anyway, finally she started communicating with me again. So I'm like, oh, beautiful, perfect, you know, it's great. But the boy was still very much there. It's almost like he just stepped back a little bit so that she could start communicating more. And throughout the time until she started communicating, he would just say, it's okay, I'm supporting the space for her. It's okay, I'm supporting the space for her. So I'd be like, okay then. So then I started communicating with her more. So you know, starting to buy things for the baby, clothes and little bits here and there, just ready to prepare for her arrival. And then up until about maybe 3 weeks ago, something just stopped me in my steps. There was odd little bits left that I needed to buy, baby grows and vests and, you know, like the night suits and things. Suddenly something just stopped me and I was like, oh, I just had this feeling that, could it actually be a boy? Like, I honestly just felt like I couldn't call it. And I said, you know, I just feel I need to ease up on the pink and I need to, just in case, get a few neutral outfits so that if the baby's born in the hospital, that I can have, that I've got like maybe just some plain white outfits or something to put the baby in to bring them home if it turns out as a little surprise and a boy. I've already got from when I was first found out I was pregnant, I got this rocket bedding, which is all like boys bedding, because I so thought I was having a boy, so I already have a few boys bits. But yeah, definitely this last few weeks I was like, oh, just in case, get a few gender neutral outfits and things. So that has been, this last few weeks has been the most bizarre feeling, because I'm one of these that I like to be prepared in some way. So like with my daughter, I wanted to know, and I had like 3 or 4 scans where I made them like recheck every time. It is a girl, isn't it? It is a girl. You have got that. And so I was like really quite definite that I was having a girl with Anisha. And so that helped me to prepare and get everything ready, get her room decorated with everything and all her outfits and all those little things, because I wanted to try and be as organised as possible. And this time round as well, it's the same thing. I want to try and be as organised as possible, but also knowing that in the especially in the first few weeks, you're just so besotted and you don't want to take your eyes off them. You just, because I know what that feels like from my experience of the first time, I even more so wanted to be prepared and ready for the arrival of this baby, you know, with all bits of like doing your whole nesting, your deep cleans of everything, just so that I can, and making extra batches of food for myself, so, and putting them in the freezer, so that in the first few weeks I've got enough to keep me going, that I haven't got to think about cooking too much and doing too much, other than just being with my babies and, you know, looking after myself. And I know I'm going to have a bit of support as well in the background, which is beautiful, but there are just things that I wanted in place for when this little one arrives, so that I can really just embrace my time and energy in just connecting and being with this baby and my daughter as a family. So I even more so wanted everything in place. So it is like a really bizarre feeling to think, well, you know, I've got a few little bits to keep me going if it is a boy, but I will have to go and do a bit of a shop, you know, within the week or 2 of the baby being born if it is a boy. I've kind of got quite a bit if it is a girl, but it's just that not knowing is quite surreal for me. Yeah, it is quite a surreal feeling. And obviously with the whole lockdown situation, scanning clinics for private scans and things have only just in the last couple of weeks reopened. And I just thought, you know what, I'm so close to giving birth. I need money for other things for the baby. So to go and spend 60, 70 pounds on a scan just to confirm whether it's boy or girl, which I'll be finding out soon enough now anyway. I just thought, you know, just, I've had to just release it completely. So yeah, it's going to be a beautiful surprise whatever comes out. But it will be a surprise. There is a surprise waiting that me and my daughter are very much in anticipation, you know, just ready to find out and to meet this little one now. And also on that whole note of surrender, I just wanted to mention the whole birthing plan. So, you know what? You'll be told as well with the midwives to have a birthing plan in place. These are guidelines for them to go by as much as possible what it is you want for your birthing experience. Obviously, until that time comes, you don't know whether this is your second, third, fourth pregnancy, whether this is your first. You actually just do not know what is about to happen. Every experience can be very different. And again, this is something I have had to massively surrender over the last few weeks, because I went through a time of feeling, yeah, I'd really like to have a home birth. I want a water birth. And then going over a few things, I felt, okay, maybe it'll just be easier because of mess, because of all the animals at home and different things, that it'll just be easier to go to hospital and have the baby. So then I changed my mind and thought, okay, then I'll go to hospital and have the baby, but I'd still like a water birth. And there's these birthing centres that they have attached to the hospital now, which sound a lot more friendly for the mum, you know, to experience, and a lot more supportive, not as clinical. So hopefully that will all go to plan. Who knows? And I make it to the hospital. But recently I've been thinking, I don't know, I've just had this feeling that it feels like it's going to be quite a quick labour and birth this time. Last time with my daughter, I mean, I was in labour for 26 hours. It was excruciating and, you know, I didn't feel very supported by the midwives. They were not interested in keeping me comfortable. Their intention and motive was just to simply get this baby out of me. And if that meant keeping me in agony and pain for the next so many hours in the most uncomfortable of positions and putting me through so much trauma, with the constant threat of, we're going to have to get the doctor to come with the forceps soon, and all these different things that they were saying, almost to try and fear me into having to surrender to some of their tactics at the time, which I don't feel were necessary. And but that's a whole other story. This was going back 14 years ago. Like I said, so much has changed now. I can feel that and see that just in the way that I've been talking to the midwives throughout this pregnancy, and I feel so much more better with the whole system and everything. However, like I said, it wasn't the best experience last time. And I'm not saying that childbirth is ever going to be an amazing experience. For some people, they have that story to tell. Of course, you're going to feel some pain. That's all just part and parcel of it. And the different techniques that we might adopt with the breathing and different ways through antenatal groups and stuff to help us through that pain or to cope with it is all great. But until that time comes, you just don't know what it's going to be like. But I just had this feeling that I don't feel like it's going to be as long a labour as last time. And I've had a couple of people, like, even again, I've had these feelings. I've had some dreams that have kind of like amplified some of the feelings that I've had about it being quite a quick labour and birth. But without me even saying any of this to anybody, I've also had a couple of quite intuitive friends contact me and say, oh, I had this dream about you, and you know, it was such a quick labour, it was such a quick birth, and the baby just came out, and it would all happen so fast. So, you know, it might not be like that, but it has made me think, well, actually, you know, with all intentions, I want to try and get to the hospital to have this baby, just so I haven't got the mess at home, really. But, you know, go to the hospital, have this baby, hopefully have a great birthing experience with the water birth and whatnot. But it's it might not work out like that. I know another lady who, you know, was on the way to the hospital and had to pull over on the side of the road and end up giving birth on the motorway because she just didn't make it in time. The baby was coming and there was no stopping it. So yeah, that even like with the whole birthing of the baby, might have a certain plan in place, but I just feel like this has been such a massive lesson of total surrender, really not knowing what's to come, what's around the corner. I mean, I know there's so much love waiting for this baby. All I know, the answer to everything is love, and just keeping on having faith and trust in the universe and just everything, and just the gratitude for this whole experience and for what's to come. But yeah, just that whole not knowing. So not knowing where I'm going to give birth, how long it's going to last, is it going to be as painful as last time? But I kind of, it's strange, like I have no fear around it. I feel in a very tranquil space with anything, just accepting whatever is about to happen, to come, and just totally surrendering it all to the universe. So just allowing this next few weeks for all the surprises to unfold, whether I'm having a boy or a girl, whether I'm, what the birth and the labor is going to be like, what those first few weeks are going to be like. There is so much to look forward to, and I'm just so grateful for this whole experience, and I really hope the best for all of you going through this right now. And I know it's been a difficult year for us to be pregnant and to be having babies for lots of different reasons, with the whole pandemic, and especially a lot of new mums feeling quite disturbed by things going on in the hospitals, and whether you can have your partners there with you, like all these different things that are going on that have disrupted the usual flow of pregnancy for a lot of women. But you've done great, and just trust that you are being supported constantly, even in ways that you have no way of comprehending, that you are being supported. So have faith and just know that everything is going to be all right. Your state of mind is the most important, so look after yourself. And as I said, the journey of pregnancy can also highlight lots of little elements within ourselves that can be addressed for deeper healing as well as neutralizing karma for our babies, to help to give them a better, happier life when they're born and throughout life. And yeah, I hope that you are all fine, that some of the videos and the things that I've shared have helped you. I know I've rabbled on for a long time in this one. This is just like a final feature, and I've addressed a few different things in this one, so it's a bit of a mishmash of stuff. I've just blurted as much out as possible. I do hope that I will make a couple of more videos, because I do have some other really interesting bits to share with you. The videos will not be as long. But I just wish you all the best of luck. So much love is being sent to you from my heart, from the universe, from so many loved ones that support you on the earth. Be ready and open to accept the help. Have gratitude for what is coming, and don't feel guilty for those that love you and want to help you. Allow them in. It does not make you weak. It does not prove anything other then you are loved and being supported. So enjoy this journey, however long you've got left now for your pregnancies, or if you've already had your babies, congratulations, and congratulations in advance for the beauty that is about to bless your life. If this is your first time, I'm so excited for you, because you really have no idea for the love that is about to burst your heart vessels and fill you up, and it's just the most beautiful thing. So any other things, please do, if you want to still reach out to communicate, to connect, I'm available on Facebook, Sunita Rocket, there is another video, I think, where I share all my email addresses and everything if you wanted to connect and reach out. I'm always here, happy to support, happy to help in any way, if that's just emotional support. I love you all dearly, and good luck with everything. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.